Shaun, Lauren, you've had an interesting few years and your life's changed drastically. Can you give us a bit of a summary or what's happened?
Yeah, we've had a really big few years. So it was October 2020, and Shaun generally just became unwell. We have two young children, and they used to bring home lots of coughs and colds from daycare. So we kind of presumed that Shaun had just picked up a virus that the children had had. However, he started to suffer with really bad migraine. He started to get some blurry spots through his right eye. And that's when we kind of thought, oh, this doesn't seem, quite normal. You better go get yourself checked out. So Shaun, being Shaun, thought, oh, I can handle this. Anyway, 2 or 3 days later, he ends up going to the doctor, and they said, I think we might head down to the ED because this is a bit abnormal for Shaun. He was in a lot of pain. And anyway, that was an admission there, and Shaun ended up losing full vision in his right side on that eye. The following day, we were transferred to a different hospital, and then we began a big series of tests to find out what was going on, which they had found out that Shaun had suffered an embolic shower on the brain. He had a pulmonary embolism, and he'd also had his 2 carotid arteries in his neck 100% blocked with clots. So, yeah, it was a series of strokes that had been occurring that had caused the vision loss in the right eye. So we were in hospital for another 2 weeks, doing lots of testing and trying to get Shaun well. And then he lost vision in his left eye. So it was basically in a split second that this occurred. He went to the bathroom, and then the next second it was gone. All vision was lost. And then that day, again, he had another 2 strokes, which had also taken his complete right side and his speech as well. So he now struggles with what they call expressive aphasia. Sometimes the words are a little bit hard to get out or mixed up. But to be honest, yes, obviously the sight and losing sight from, going along on an everyday normal life, to just have that taken from you in an instant was massive. We started rehabilitation a few months later, where we began our journey with Kim, and Shaun was introduced to the white cane. And that's been a beautiful story in its own, and a beautiful journey of Shaun learning to use that. There's so many things that Shaun's had to learn again, everything around the house, just trying to do, everything again with no sight is just such a challenge. But he's adapting, and he's out in the public these days, using his cane to get around. The 2 kids, Cooper and Ava, our children, they both have canes as well. And they often go out with Daddy and use the cane and follow him around on his route around the park. So that's really beautiful as well. But Shaun's come a really, really long way in terms of his O&M capabilities. And we're now looking at a guide dog for the future. So that's a very exciting journey as well for Shaun. But yes, the everyday impact was, just has been huge. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're talking about that everyday impact and you're talking about having to relearn everything, obviously I've been through it myself, so I know how hard a journey at a different age. But what is the tools and the adaptability tricks and mindsets that you guys have learned with not just yourselves, but with your kids? Because your kids would have had such a big change in their lives.
Oh, 100%. Massive change for everyone's life. It's been amazing to watch Shaun learn again in a completely different way. We've had, beautiful assistance from Mark, who was one of the first people to teach Shaun how to use his phone again, because that was sort of one of the first things he wanted to be able to do, was to be able to call me and just say, Lauren, I'm okay, if he was out and about, or just to be able to do little things that he used to be able to do, like scroll the internet or read a book on his phone, things that we just take for granted. Shaun had to relearn all of that. And without the help of Mark, he would have not been able to, access and use the accessibility features on his phone. So, it's everything that you just don't even think about that Shaun's had to relearn. Things around the kitchen that now are, audio descriptive, the air fryer talks to us. So Shaun can set himself, speak to it and set a timer, tell it what it needs to cook. It's come such a long way. Cooper and Ava follow all this as well. They can talk to the TV, so they can talk to the lights. They can turn everything on via their voice, which is just amazing these days. It's brilliant how far technology has come, and that people like Shaun have that, at their fingertips basically, and can touch in and access all that.
So as a family, you've really adapted well, because I've been following Shaun's journey through Kim and through Mark. And one of the things that's really interested me is your book. What is your book about, and why did you write it?
Yeah, so after things had settled down at home, I thought, there needs to be some more education out there. Cooper and Ava have lots of little friends, and going through the journey and trying to explain to even Cooper and Ava themselves, they were only 4.5 and 3 at the time, what it meant to be blind was extremely hard. They couldn't really understand the fact that Daddy could no longer see them or anything like that. And I thought, where can I find some tools or some resources to help them understand? And there wasn't a lot out there. So I thought, I'll write a book. And it's much more picture-based, but there are images of Shaun as a cartoon character and Cooper and Ava, Shaun with his long cane. There are images of guide dogs, and the book basically is very simple, but just a descriptive and picture-based book on, what it's like to be blind. And we've been spreading that, hopefully it's going far and wide, because we really hope to bring some more awareness to the blind community and to young children as well, so that they understand, that when they see blind people in the community, if there's a working guide dog, that we don't cut the guide dog's working, that person doesn't have complete vision. So we've really hope to spread the word around that.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I found with my 3 sons that their friends are just so don't think anything of, Mrs. Gatty, she's blind.
Yeah.
That we'll be going somewhere and, this is before I got my guide dog. Next minute, the elbow will be shoved in front of me. And I would have no idea which lad it was, but it's, and they all knew how to lead. And like my godchildren all know how to lead, and it's just seen as a normal part of life.
Yeah.
Are you noticing that in Cooper and Ava's friends?
Yeah, it was actually just the other day, Cooper had a little mate over, and this was when, he was trying to assist Shaun with the TV remote. But he was beautiful. He kind of just helped Shaun to stand up and take him to the remote, and help him pick that up. Whereas prior to all this, a lot of Cooper's school friends had never met someone who was blind. And they're just, they're great now. All the kids down the road that play with Shaun, and the kids every afternoon in the street, they all have such a big understanding now. You can see it with them. Cooper and Ava will lead Shaun and guide Shaun, and they will do the same. Like, they are learning to do that as well, which is really beautiful to see.
Actually, that's such a positive thing.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's been a sad thing that's happened, but there's so much positive that's come out of what you two have done, because you've educated not just your two, the children in the street, and that does spread, doesn't it, to their parents and to
Community.
to the community.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we hope to be able to do through the likes of the book. And, having Shaun at school and, introducing him in the classroom to the children. And we speak about how he's blind and that he can't see properly and those types of things. So the positive change that we're hoping to make is, having the community be more aware of the fact that there are blind people out there that they don't see all the time, but that they're just normal, just like you and I. And we just want to spread that word.
That's awesome. Do you have any plans for the future? You've talked about guide dogs. You've talked about your book. Do you have any plans for writing another book?
I've been asked that question before. I have. I would love to write a more adult-based version of a story, probably outlining our journey. It's started, it's in the works, but it's by no means anywhere near finished yet. But yes, absolutely, we hope to be able to do things like that and keep on creating awareness through, social media, interviews like this, books, wherever we can help. We like to be able to help.
Has your work lives changed? Obviously yours has, Shaun. I know mine changed drastically, but what about yours, Lauren?
Yeah, completely changed. I was in the events industry, and I would work on weekends prior to Shaun becoming unwell and losing his vision. And Shaun used to take care of the kids for me so that I could go out and do that. So when all this happened, I completely gave up work initially to look after Shaun and the kids and the family and do what was needed, and help Shaun transition back to life at home. And since then, we had beautiful carers coming in and out of the home, and I felt like that was something that I wanted to do, and be able to provide that help and support to other families. So I went and did a Certificate 3, and I'm now doing support work as well. And I'm also working with another lady who's blind and has a guide dog herself. So it's just been a complete 360 on where we were at and what we were doing. And it's a really fulfilling job to do, to be able to give back and help those other families that are going through similar situations that we have been through. And I guess having that empathy and understanding there for them can also make a big change in their lives, hopefully, as well. So we've done a 360 and, we're just doing something completely different.
What about you, Shaun? I mean, for you, I know for me, I really struggled when I had to stop work, and I sat in a corner for quite a while and felt sorry for myself until I said, well, this is stupid, and then found the coffee downstairs. But what about you? Your life's changed 360 degrees as well, even though, yes, I know you're still getting better, but the positives out of it. And I'm a positive person. I always think there are positives. So what do you see as a family and individually and for your children have been the positives?
Well, I'm trying to find a job at the moment so that I can get back into work somewhere. Don't know where yet, but somewhere. Yeah. And we'll go from there.
Any type of like IT again?
I don't think I'd be able to, but I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah.
Shaun would just like to be able to be back into some sort of meaningful work. So hopefully we'll get something happening and sorted for him, and that'll be on the horizon. But I think in terms of Cooper and Ava, I think they have developed such a resilience, having dealt with all this at such a young age. And they have a lot of compassion and understanding. So we're hoping that, that will be, we'll be able to raise strong, beautiful children. And
You know, seriously, you guys impress me because you were so strong and you sound, notice the word I said, sound, I can't see, but you sound happy and you sound, you know, glued together. And, you know, that's such a wonderful thing to see because sometimes sad things and, you know, hard things can break a family, but good on you guys because you've stuck together and life's all about adaptability and resilience, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And there are ways to learn again. It's just, tapping into those ways and having the people around you to support you. We couldn't have done it without a multitude of different people, you know, not just family and friends, but the likes of Kim and Mark. We wouldn't be on this same journey if it wasn't for people like that. So, we have a lot of people to thank.
Yeah.